Super Tuscan. You want to do that?
Yeah.
In the middle 70s.
Okay, there's something that a lot of you may go into a wine shop and you might hear the steward talking about DOC, DOCG, IGT, and they start throwing all these crazy words at you. And basically, as in France, there had to be a governing body. Basically, the DOC was the denomination of origin of Controllata. It is the governing body that if you passed the criteria, for example, in Chianti, back in the days where there was the Gallo Nera or the Black Rooster, there was a consortium back when nobody was governing anything in Italy, and a consortium called the Consortium de Gallo Nera. You would see a little rooster on the neck of the bottle of a Chianti. And that was really the only acceptance of quality back then. And then as the world popular wines became known, DOC, the domination of origin controllata, became the standard by which you passed their test. And then if you passed their test to the next level, there was a G added to the end, garantata. So the DOCG meant you were not only good to be DOC, but E garantata meant that they guaranteed the level of excellence. That's when DOCG was founded. Then there was the conundrum of all these great wines where they wanted to break the rules, and all these producers wanted to add Cabernet to Sangiovese, added Syrah. They wanted to take all the things that, if you remember, California created the Meritage or the Meritage wines where they were non-traditional blends of those Bordeaux varietals, and Italy also, and they didn't have a category. So IGT was formed, which is Indigenous
Indicazione geografica tipica. My Italian is a little bit better.
Yeah, Indigenous Geographica Tipica, or IGT.
Yes.
And these were all the ones that were indigenous to the region, but non-traditional to that region, where, for example, back in the 70s, Piero Antinori wanted to add Cabernet Sauvignon to Sangiovese. They said, that's not going to happen. He says, it's going to happen, and I'm doing it as we speak. So that was one wine that eventually found its way into the IGT category. The most famous one, a wine called Tignanello. Tignanello was formed in the mid-70s by his vision of using the Bordeaux varietals to be blended with the Italian varietals. Pergola Torte from Montevertini. He wanted to take a Chianti, which at the time had to be 4 grapes, 2 red and yes, 2 white grapes to be considered Chianti. And he said, I just want to use my clone called Sangiovese. And they said, no, you can't do that either. And him and Piero Antinori stood up and said, yes, we can. And that was the start of this whole crazy ride called the Super Tuscans. And those Super Tuscans now have a name, IGT. So they finally deserve what they have coming to them. They're world class, and it's the art of blending. Yes. I always explain it as Ciro does. If you take a chef and he's cooking, and you say, okay, you've got salt, you've got pepper, make me a dish. Or you say, you've got the whole spice rack. Which one is going to come out perfect? The spice rack. Well, in Italy, the spice rack for the winemaker is to be able to use Syrah, Cabernet, Canaiolo, and Sangiovese, and do the art of blending like they've been doing for hundreds of years in Bordeaux, France. That's why the Super Tuscans are so popular, because you've created the art of blending in the hillsides of Tuscany.
Yes, and you have also more freedom in like as Steve was explaining. They became this winemaker. They became a little rebels. They didn't want to adhere to the strict laws of the DOCG or the DOC. They said, I want to do exactly what I want. So they start to use these clones of grapes like Cabs and like Syrah. They are not really from there. We don't pay, but they can grow there. So non-local grapes were brought and planted in those parts of Italy. So they basically became rebels. But at first everybody thought they weren't going to do well. But as soon as they reached this part of the world, the United States, they loved it. Because now with a little infusion of the Cabernet, the Merlot, a little bit more oak, the Sangiovese got tamed again. It wasn't so astringent, it wasn't tannic, it was more tolerable to the palate, more easy on the tongue, will not leave your tongue just like that. So anyway, beautiful story, freedom of blend whatever they want, and that's why it's been so successful in this part of the world.
When it really all began, it was all about Cabernet, Sangiovese, and Merlot, and to this day, Tignanello lives on.
He's a big boy of the wine. And again, don't get, if you hear us talking about DOC, DOCG, IGT, don't get intimidated. You know, the label might be intimidated. You just follow us. Come with us, join us in a very simple way. Again, we'll go through this together. Okay, the reason why they put all this DOCG and DOC is a way of controlling. Otherwise, somebody, a winemaker, could source a wine from Sicily or from Puglia and then make no show. So the reason why the government, together with the winemaker, if he has a little label DOCG, guaranteed that the grapes are from that perimeter territory. They are set by them, they are grown by local winemaker, so you get an authentic bottle of wine, a true wine that reflects the taste of Tuscany or Sicily or else. Okay?